So how did Paul reason with them? Well, look at verse 3. It says that he was explaining and demonstrating that Christ had to suffer and rise again from the dead. Explaining and demonstrating. So that means that Paul read Scripture and he offered thoughts to his hearers to explain the meaning of the text. The most important thing you're going to hear tonight is what the Bible means. It's the meaning of the Word that matters the most to us tonight. And this is a crucial exchange that's happening between Paul and the Thessalonians. Paul did not travel around and spread his own opinions and his own preferences. He didn't travel from town to town to let people know what he thought about the economy or the government or politics or family life. Paul had a burden to explain the meaning of Scripture. In order to do that, we have to understand that the words of Scripture have a set meaning. You and I don't get to read a verse and then decide what it means. We don't get to read and then say, well, to me, that's saying this or that. You might not think there's much of a danger that something like that would occur, but it actually happens very frequently. Think about it like this. Have you ever been in a conversation or at a Bible study where somebody reads a verse and then they look up and they say, hey, what does that verse mean to you? Now, it sounds like a harmless enough question on the surface. I'm not trying to condemn you if you've ever asked that question. But I do want to shed some light on what's underneath that question. Because when I say, what does that verse mean to you, I'm missing out on what the verse actually means. There's an intended meaning behind it. The right question to ask at a Bible study or when you're hearing the word preached is not what does that verse mean to you, but what does that verse mean? That's what we need to know. So I could ask 100 different people what the parable of the Good Samaritan means to them. And I'd probably get dozens of different interpretations as people pull their own meanings out of the text. Well, I think it's saying this, and I think actually no, Jesus meant this when he said this about the priest that walked past, and this about the Levite, and we could go on and on and on. But what we need to know is what Jesus meant when he said it. There was something he was trying to communicate to us, a set meaning. Paul explained and demonstrated the meaning of the Scriptures. His work was to labor to share what God was speaking with the people who were listening to him. And so meaning in that way comes from the intent of the author, not the response of the reader or hearer. And I just want to say that again. Meaning is decided by the intent of the author. What did he mean when he said this? Not what do I think that means as I read it. Imagine if I wrote a letter and I handed out a copy of it to everyone here tonight. We opened up my little letter and it said, we discovered a structural flaw in the church building. Anyone who tries to exit the building through section 3 will be crushed under the collapsing roof. You would read that and you would probably say, whoa, what does he mean by section 3? Where is section 3? I don't understand that phrase. I don't know specifically what that means. What would you be more interested to know? What I meant when I wrote it and gave it to you? Or what those words mean to the person sitting next to you? You would probably want to know what I meant, since I'm warning you of something dangerous that's going to happen if you don't understand this message. You probably wouldn't elbow your spouse and say, hey, what's section 3? You probably say, we got to talk to Timmy after the service because I need to know specifically which section is section 3 so I don't get crushed under the roof. In the same way, church, we stand in great need to understand the mind of God that's revealed to us in the Bible, not the opinions of the person reading it.